Good morning, everyone. It's me, Anne-Marie Villicana with Dilbeck Estates, and what an honor it is today to have the president of Dilbeck Real Estate, Mark Dilbeck, with me. So welcome, Mark.
Thanks. Hi.
This is really a treat. So I've been working with your company now for 18 years.
Wow, it goes fast.
It does, and life is really good right now. I just was telling you, we opened 2 escrows last week. We're opening 2 today, and things are good. So tell us what started the family business of Dilbeck.
Well, my dad started the business back in the early '60s. He was a salesman up in the Washington, La Cañada area, and decided it's time to go hang his own shingle, and that's what started it. I've been there since the early '90s. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in '95, and so with the management team, I've been running the company since the late '90s.
And then you have your 2 brothers are also involved.
Yep. One brother runs the escrow company, Kirk, and it's a related company. And then my brother Bruce is a salesperson in Glendale, and Kirk's wife is a salesperson in La Cañada.
That's right, Leah as well.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I used to get to work with Bruce at our office in Pasadena, so then when he moved. So well, that's terrific. So why don't you give us a little bit of an update? What is going on in the real estate market these days?
Well, it's definitely a seller's market, very tight, low inventory. You know, in our market area, it's maybe 2 months of supply, a little north of that.
What does that mean? Explain 2 months of supply.
So if every house on the market, no other homes on the market came on the market, they'd all get sold within two months. And you know, historically, average is 6 months. So you know, that's more of a balanced market where buyers and sellers have typically more of an equal negotiating power. But we're definitely tilted toward the sellers, where it's tough to, you know, if you're a buyer, it's tough, multiple offers a lot of times. And it always depends on the pricing of the home. You know, sometimes people won't be realistic about where they're pricing their home, but assuming they're realistic, then the sellers are in a good spot, better spot than the buyers right now.
Yeah, and what do you think? There are a lot of people that are moving out of state. We hear about this a lot, you know, moving to Texas, to Florida, to Colorado, Arizona, but yet people are buying the houses. But what do you think about this? It seems like there's more people leaving than coming.
The latest stuff that I've seen is that we actually have net growth in the state, but we have within the United States, we have more migration out than migration in. So births and foreign people coming from outside of the United States are what's causing net growth in the state of California. The interesting thing too, that I think it was Beacon Economics is one of the groups that recently did a study that most of the migration out is actually on the lower end of the market, and it's on both ends. There's the more wealthy people that don't want to pay the taxes. Some businesses are moving, and so they're moving for those reasons. But they tend to have a choice. On the lower end of the market, it's people that are having a tough time affording a place to buy or rent, and you can go get a job in Texas, for example, or Arizona or Nevada, and the housing costs are less. And so, and Oregon's another state where there's more migration in that direction. So it's happening on both ends, but the data shows that it's more the lower end that are kind of forced to move, so to speak, so they can get to a place where they can afford more home. And
so on that vein, there have been a lot of cities locally around us, Pasadena, Glendale, Long Beach, that are talking about rent control. And I know that in Pasadena recently, they just found out they didn't have enough signatures. And I think last year they didn't have enough in Glendale. So they're working on that in Long Beach. How do you think that's going to impact the sales market?
Rent control is a tough one. And you've got passionate people on both sides. The renters and those trying to support the renter say they can't afford it. We got to have rent control in place, and they can't afford to live here. The reverse is property owners and economists to a certain degree. There was a study that came out by Stanford, I think, in December of last year, and it was 60, 70 pages long. But their premise was that ultimately, or at least one of their conclusions was that ultimately rent control hurts renters. Because one of the things they looked at, for example, was the city of San Francisco that's had rent control for a long time. And the kind of what I'll call the incumbent renters, when the rent control goes in place, it helps them, they stay in place, the rents don't go up. But what happens is over time, there's less housing stock that comes on for the renters. The owners, the landlords look at ways to turn them into condos that they can sell, or try to figure out ways to get around the rent control. So ultimately, the housing stock for renters goes down, and it can cause a negative impact because of that. At the same point, over the broader market area, the study showed that rents went up. And so what happens is some of that converts to homes that people buy, or they are able to reconfigure it and then make more high-end housing for renters. So how does that, your question was, how does that affect, the market?
Well, the market's still, the homes, right, well, the homes still.
It may end up that we end up with a little more housing stock.
Because they're going to put them on the market for sale.
Right, exactly. Now, the question is, how dramatic is that? Is it enough to impact home prices a lot? I don't know. I mean, what we really need is more building. We need across the state. We need more stuff built, both for tenants and for owners. There's just we're stuck with a lot of regulations that doesn't allow that to occur. And if we had more housing stock across the board, that would be the best thing to bring. To at least not necessarily bring prices down, but kind of hold prices closer to where they are, as opposed to elevating so quickly.
All right. Well, with you saying there's only 2 months supply, I mean, it clearly will help the market in that sense.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's not just our market. I mean, that's pretty much
everywhere.
Most of the state, not all, but most of the state.
Well, again, it's truly a treat to have you, and I love being one of your agents. And thank goodness I'm always one of your top agents. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this segment with Mark Dilbeck and myself. And remember, if you're going to buy a house or sell one, call Dilbeck Estates.